The Islamic Republic of Iran's IRGC has struck and hit a tanker that was transiting the Strait of Hormuz. That is in violation of Clause 5 of the MOU and is the first time since the signing of the MOU that they have struck a ship. They fired a missile. It hit the bridge of the ship. It looks like they were going in to actually kill the crew. Thankfully, no one died so far that we know of, and the ship was then evacuated. It was traveling with a lot of other ships who also all of a sudden stopped and turned around. And so the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has now completely halted for today. I don't know if the United States is going to like that. And because their secret agreement, so we think, was that we'll look the other way as long as the ships keep going through. The ships are not going through any longer. And to be honest, before they were not going through in large amounts anyway. So the IRGC has made a couple of statements, and we'll run through all of that. President Trump has actually pretty much beat the senators into submission. We'll cover that as well. And a lot of global events have happened, from earthquakes in Venezuela to earthquakes that were earth-shattering, as well as the United States Air Force actually conducting operations today in Iraq and eliminating Hashd al-Shabi, or Popular Mobilization Front, terrorists. The Israeli-Lebanon, Israeli-Hezbollah conflict is peaking and escalating more and more, it seems, because there's intense artillery fire and multiple airstrikes and raids happening by the IDF on Hezbollah terrorists today, which also breaks the clause number 1, or so the IRGC claims, as well as Mojtaba missing posters and a ton of other things. We've also found where Ghalibaf is at the moment, and he looks like a popular character in Star Wars that we'll get to. So let's get started. So today, or at least rather last night, President Donald Trump was quite angry at how the Senate has tried to defy him time and time again. They ended up passing a vote to limit his War Powers Act, and they passed it. And it was actually quite a hassle. So what ended up happening was President Trump went ahead, and it looks like he pulled some of the senators into his room and gave them a verbal beating, because the Senate immediately went back, reconvened, had another meeting, and voted to block the bill that they just passed. They just voted to limit Trump's power, and then Trump was like, oh yeah? Called them, talked to them, brought them in, and then they went straight back to Capitol Hill, straight back into the Senate, and voted to undo what they just did. Donald Trump just said, wow, the Senate just changed its vote on Iran from 54 and 48 against to 54 and 47 against to limit that. So that means they undid what they just did. And it looks like a lot of senators did come out and say, oh, thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Hegseth, this and that, for telling us the truth about what's happening. Not only did he slap them up good, but it seems like he gave them some verbal information or promises that made these senators change their mind. We are no longer limited if we choose to go back to strikes, and we are no longer going to have to remove troops and forces from the area. That lasted about 2 minutes. And yeah, we have so much to cover today. I'm going to skip that part. What do you think about that, Armin? Is that significant? That President Trump just went ahead, and even though he said it was a meaningless act, that they were trying to limit his power, he actually did put aside the time and his whole team to go talk to these senators and change their mind. So maybe it was something actually significant.
This is a good reminder that when President Trump says he doesn't care about something, he might actually care about it. So this is why when people were telling me, like, oh, President Trump says he doesn't care about the midterms, I'm like, guys, it's his job to care about the midterms. He's supposed to care about the midterms. But yet it is true to say that these votes has no legal consequences because of the veto, but that's true. But it has political consequences. So these votes might have not legally limited President Trump, but it would have politically limited President Trump. So that's why they were important. Yes.
Yeah, and what message would that send to the IRGC saying that, we can't even go ahead and proactively attack you, we can only defensively attack you? So this was actually limiting President Trump's leverage during this plan. So he got that reversed real quick, which I'm glad. And let's go to the juicy piece of news today. The one that, oh man, like this right here, guys, this is the Strait of Hormuz, okay? And the IRGC began yesterday by issuing a threat. They said that all of this area is theirs, and that if you take a route that is not the route that we told you to take, we cannot guarantee your safety. Well, this at that point, I was like, okay, this is just, threats. They've been making them this entire time, whatever, right? But today, the Islamic Republic has struck and hit a ship. So a Singaporean flagged ship called Ever Lovely was a cargo ship, and it was hit directly in the bridge of the ship where people usually steer it. But apparently, no one's died, we think, so far. No warning was given by the IRGC, and it was attacked promptly because it was using this route, the route that the IRGC didn't want them to take. So right there, right off the coast of Oman, which is the southern portion of the Strait of Hormuz, that's the part where Oman came out yesterday, and they put this whole statement, and they said, this is the new southern route that we, Oman, are going to create. Here's the part, Armin. So we know that IRGC just hit a cargo ship. We know that Oman came out yesterday and gave an issuance saying, we will create this route. This is our route. That came after Ghalibaf visited Oman. Ghalibaf came to Oman, had a meeting with the Omanis, and then after he left, they issued that statement. They're like, okay, we take over the southern part of the strait. The Islamic Republic has the northern part of the strait. But then the IRGC came out of nowhere today and just hit that ship and just messed up everything. Messed up everything. Because if the US and Ghalibaf were looking the other way to a lot of different things, as long as the ships were going through, the IRGC just came in, hit a ship, and undid all of that. Now everyone looks like an idiot. The US looks like a fool if they let this go. The Ghalibaf looks like a fool if he lets this go. The Omanis look like a fool no matter what. I'm wondering to see what the response is going to be. And as always, we usually catch if strikes happen live.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both President Trump and the IRGC is timing everything based on when Ali goes live. To interesting. But I mean, what are the Americans going to do in response to this? That's the question. Do you think you're going to do anything in response to this? Also, here's why we were wondering, why was the blockade removed before all of this? You know what I mean? Like, we removed the blockade and the Strait of Hormuz is now closed. Are we going to put the blockade back on? No. Why not? But there we have it. I mean, I know why not. Oil prices. Midterms are coming. So the oil must flow one way or another. The oil must flow. So I think we're not going to see a big reaction to this. We might get a small reaction to this, but my guess is that we're not going to see a big American reaction to this. We might even get none. It's possible that we might get none. What do you think?
I think they have a couple options. One, they do the love tap limited strikes. Two, they don't do anything. Or three, they come out with the statement. Donald Trump comes out and puts more verbal pressure on the regime. I think those are the three most likely scenarios. Most likely one, in my opinion, is he's probably just going to come out and say stuff. This is not what we agreed upon. Iran can't be trusted, etc., etc. The damage is done, though. The damage is done because the ships turned around and aren't transiting anymore.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.